Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. My name is Caroline Heward and I'm known as the Harley Street Stress Expert. I'm also a TV presenter on USA Global TV and Radio and the resident therapist of USA TV and Global TV and Radio. Our show today is Talking Heads, and I am an expert presenter in today's topic, which is part of the Mind and Body Connection series. Our topic today is the midlife crisis journey, from confusion to clarity. So let's begin. So what is a midlife crisis? Many people use the term, he's having a midlife crisis. Oh, she's having a midlife crisis. But what do we mean by that? And what are people seeing? And why are they saying what they're saying? And this will mean many things to different people. So I'm going to demystify some of the things that we think it is and some of the things that we don't think it is. And also give you some insight and awarenesses and understandings of what it actually is. Because when you are going through a midlife crisis, when you're in the eye of the midlife crisis, in the eye of the storm, it's very hard to see what's going on. So it happens in middle adulthood, and it's a period of questioning. It's a period of self-reflection and self-navel gazing, almost looking at your life in a big way. It can be for some, for many, very challenging, because that self-reflection brings about an internal reflection of what's not working, what's not right, why you're not happy about where you are. For men, it can last between 3 to 10 years. And for women, 2 to 5 years. I bet you're wondering, why is it shorter for women? Well, we're going to find out a little bit more about what you can do when you're in a midlife crisis, and it will make sense as to why it can be for some women shorter. And the common age, and there is some research about this and some common different ages, but what I've got from my research is from 45 to 64, and it depends on who the person is and what they're going through and what their life journey is. So that's not, I feel, laid in stone, and I'm going to share a personal story with you within this show to give you an insight that it can, even for some people, happen in their 30s. It just depends what's going on in your life. So some common symptoms. It's very similar to depression. And in saying the word depression, the person that is going through a midlife crisis will almost think that they're feeling depressed. They will almost think that there's something very wrong and there's a huge internalization of the stressors that they're experiencing. It's almost like they go round and round in the mind because it's all going through the thoughts and the experiences of the mind. They will feel a lot of anxiousness about life. So anxiousness and depression reside in the mind. And this is why they will become a feeling of like a disconnect with the mind and the body. There will be a feeling of dissatisfaction in their life, like nothing is working for them. And there will be almost a woe is me, this isn't right, that's not right. And they will feel a level of irritability about what's not working for them. And it'll almost bring up an anger through that irritability and frustration. And frustration and irritability are the precursors to anger. And there will be, for people that are going through a midlife crisis, a difficulty in concentrating. And the reason there's a difficulty in concentrating is because the mind is very full of thoughts of what's not working. And because the mind is very full of thoughts, they won't have the ability to concentrate on things and be present, because the mind is so engaged in negative thinking about what is not working in their life. Now, for some people, and not all, and these symptoms are common, not for everyone, but these symptoms are common in terms of recognizing if you, or indeed somebody that you're close to, a sibling or a loved one, that you will be able to recognize some of these symptoms, and even for yourself, that there may be some reckless behavior. And I'm going to define what I mean by reckless behavior. It could be that they start experimenting or taking more recreational substances. It could be that they're driving fast in slower zones of speed. It could be that they're driving when they're drinking, and then they become reckless in their behavior. It could be that they're driving under the influence of recreational substances, or indeed looking at life in a reckless way, that they do things in terms of their sexual health that wouldn't be deemed appropriate if they were being more thoughtful about their behaviors. So they may see more partners, they may pay for sex, or they may actually look at doing more things to stretch the boundaries of their sexual activities. And more on that a bit later. So for some people, there may be some weight gain or weight loss. And they're definitely in a midlife crisis, there will be mood swings. Mood swings in terms of feeling really high and feeling amazing, and then feeling really low and feeling almost so low that they stay in bed and they can't do anything. Now, these types of symptoms are very, very in alignment with depression. And they're very in alignment with other types of disorders. Now, the midlife crisis is not a disorder. It's not a personality dysfunction. This is something that happens for many people. And because it doesn't get diagnosed, they think they're depressed, or they think they're bipolar, or they think there's some other personality disorder, because they haven't reached out and got a diagnosis and found out why life is not working. So there may be a sexual dissatisfaction in their life. Certainly for women that are going through the midlife crisis, they will feel almost like they've lost their identity of who they are, who they were, who they want to be, and who, more importantly, that they're being in life. And losing their identity to being the mother, the housewife, the cook, the cleaner, the person that does all the things for the children. And the woman can almost lose her identity of who she is. And when that happens, certainly in a midlife crisis, there will be a need, an absolute desire to search for who they are and why it's not working for them, that they're everything to everybody else and nothing to themselves. There will be, because of that level of sexual dissatisfaction for both men and women, there will be for some a body image issue where they're feeling there's a phrase in the UK, the midlife spread, where we get bigger in the tummy area if we've not done exercise or we've been overindulging in food or drink. And as you get older, it's more difficult to keep off the weight. In England, we have a phrase, a second on the lips and a lifetime on the hips. I always think about that when I see a very nice, beautiful, sticky dessert or a cake that looks really luscious and welcoming. And I just think, a couple of seconds on the lips, nice taste, but it's going to last a lifetime on the hips. So I tend to say no. And then I think, sod it, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to experience, because as you get older, it's about your experiences. So let's look at the life stages, the stages of a midlife crisis. The first stage is the trigger. What's actually caused you to move into the midlife crisis? And we'll talk more about the triggers very soon. The second stage is searching for meaning, looking for what your life means, your purpose. And the final stage, the third stage, is acceptance of the fact that life is how it is for you, and accepting what is your life and its meaning and relevance to you and your purpose and mission in life. So what is midlife crisis? It can be psychological, very much psychological. It is emotional distress, and there is an existential angst about the end of your life, the fact that you have a shorter amount of time, that you've lived more of your life. It happens, and it depends what research that you read, in your 40s and 50s, and for some in their 60s. It makes you question your choices that you've made in life. It makes you question your beliefs. What you thought was true for you, what no longer remains true because you're questioning your life and your beliefs. The midlife crisis moves you into questioning your values. What do you value in life? Is it a partner? Is it monetary, physical things? Is it material things? Or is it inner happiness, inner joy, inner peace? Many people get to a certain point in their lives and they have all the material things, thinking that it buys them that inner calm and peace and happiness. So they can have the villa in Spain, and they can have the 2.4 kids, and they can have the wife, the husband, the big house. They can have the holidays, but somehow there's something missing. And so it makes you question in your midlife crisis. You have all these things that you believed would make you happy and give you inner satisfaction, but then you question that you're not feeling it. And it also questions your identity, who you are, who you're being for everyone else, and who you're being for yourself. So it can be triggered by a significant life event, such as a birthday, a milestone birthday, a 40th birthday, a 50th birthday, a 60th birthday. It could be a milestone event in terms of an anniversary, or it could be the birth of a child, or the death of a child, the death of a loved one, of a parent, of a sibling. It could be the death of a good close friend, similar to your age, or maybe a little younger. It could be about losing a job, a role. It could be a demotion or a promotion that didn't give you quite what you thought it would be. In today's times, it could even be something such as bankruptcy, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you have your own business, and if you are a big player, in the game of retail or large companies. Many large companies are going into bankruptcy in our current times, and this can have a reflection on how you feel about your life and your values and what you valued in terms of putting all of your efforts into maintaining that big lifestyle of work and then finding it's there no longer. So why is a midlife crisis so hard? It's because we have to deal with things that perhaps when we were younger, we didn't have to deal with. And I say perhaps because this is not true for everyone. It may be that you've had to deal with things that come for many people in later life, such as illness, such as financial issues, career changes and shifts, medical problems, marital problems, death, mental or psychological deadlines or decline. If you've been diagnosed with a terminal illness, you can be as young as 10 or 15 or even 7 or 5. And it makes you question things. So it doesn't matter how old you are, these types of things can happen, not just in midlife, but they can happen much earlier on. But these are the types of things that we are faced with, the types of situations we are faced with when we are in our midlife. And these are things sometimes that we haven't come across, and it's most common that we haven't come across these types of situations that we're having to deal with. And the experience and the emotional roller coaster of the midlife crisis can take effect, because we may not have had to deal with parents becoming elderly, parents becoming diagnosed with illnesses and ailments that you need to then take care of them, parents that have to go into nursing homes or nursing care. It can be that a sibling has passed away. And as we get older, friends, family, siblings do pass away. This is the game of life. We're not here forever. And when you start to see many friends, family members, siblings literally dying while you're still alive, it starts to make you question your own mortality. I certainly remember when my baby brother passed away in 2018. And it was his day before his 50th. And I was so stunned that it made me think about my own mortality. It also made me literally take a leapfrog step into, I need to do more because I haven't achieved half the things that I want to do. And this can, for some people, spur them into some action, especially if there's death of a loved one that's very close. Carl Jung, he was a Swiss psychiatrist and a psychoanalyst. And he believed that there were different stages of life experience. He believed that there was a series of psychological transformations that we experience in life. And he called them, he had a specialist name for them, individuation. Let me say that again, individuation. And Carl Jung is a very traditional psychotherapist and psychoanalyst. And he based his research and his findings on what was current at the time. Now, more recent research by Jonathan Roach, he's an American author and journalist. Now, he had quite different perspectives. He said the period of the real phenomenon of the dip in happiness and well-being in middle age, it doesn't simply rely on external factors that I've just mentioned. He believes it relies on the biological and psychological factors that every person experiences in their midlife. He says it's regardless of external factors and circumstances. Now, he further says that he believes that there are changes in the brain and the body that occur in middle age. And as people age in their 40s and 50s, there is a decline in certain hormones and neurotransmitters, which can lead to low mood, low energy, and low motivation. Now, this can explain things for a lot of people that go through a midlife crisis and there isn't anything that's happened. They suddenly feel this lethargy and they feel a depression and they feel an anxiousness about life when nothing has actually happened. For many, there is a realization that they've lived more years than you have left to live. For many people that are going through a midlife crisis, there is a sense of regret as they look at their lives. For some, there is a sense of disappointment, for unfulfilled dreams, missed opportunities. There is a reflection when you're going through a midlife crisis of what was, relationships that didn't work, that you didn't go and speak to somebody when perhaps you should have done, when you didn't take that opportunity with the job, that you didn't move when you could have moved with the opportunity. So there are many reflections when someone is going through a midlife crisis of what was and what could have been if they just took the bull by the horns, as we say in the UK, and just went for it. There will be questioning, a huge amount of questioning, and a reevaluation of what has been before in their life. And generally, in a midlife crisis, focus on the negative aspects rather than on what you achieved. And it's interesting that the behaviour goes to that place, because in the mind, when we're reflecting and analysing, the mind tends to focus on the negative aspects unless you've done some training to look at your life in a different way and to look at the more positive attributes of your life. And because you're focusing on the negatives, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that you are very dissatisfied with what could have been and where you failed and where you could have taken a chance to have become better. I want to share with you a personal story. And it was when the lead up to when I was married, my then husband's 50th birthday. He was 12 years older than me, and I was super excited about his birthday. And I went through great pains to keep this surprise to him that his family lived very far north, in the north in Yorkshire, and we lived in London. And it was a big deal that his family didn't really come to London very often. And I arranged very secretly to get his sister and some of his family to come from Yorkshire and to do a weekend and spend the evening with him and celebrate with him and make it more of an occasion. I organised a special cake and I was telling everybody that he was 50. And I was a bit surprised that he didn't seem excited. He seemed a bit down and I didn't understand. And he shared with me after I was like really on a high, very escalated high, because I got all these secrets that, I got a cake ready for him, that it was going to be a nice surprise and all his friends were going to come out. It was going to be a surprise gathering, family from the north, and it was on his birthday. So I was really excited about all the things that I had created for him. And I couldn't hide my excitement about his birthday because I kept going on about it, he said. And then he shared with me, pretty much on top of his birthday, I think it was the night before, he said, You're excited about my 50th. I'm not, because I realise I have less years left, that I've lived more than half of my life, and I'm not happy with what I've achieved. I felt really, really shocked, surprised, and down for him, because I didn't even consider that he might be feeling like that. So I was excited about this big special birthday, this milestone birthday, and he was having all these negative feelings about it. And he wasn't feeling celebratory at all. And it was difficult for me to then become high and ecstatic about all the things that I'd organised, because I realised he was actually not feeling great about it at all. And he mentioned that he was not feeling like celebrating his 50th because it was to him an insight to what he hadn't achieved yet, and he had less years to live. I wanted to share that with you to give you a bit of an insight of how two people in two different age brackets can be thinking and feeling about a big milestone birthday. I have a further example about balding men buying fast red Ferrari cars or fast cars and then chasing after the younger women to almost feel virile again and to feel attractive to the younger woman. And then when they've done their adventure and they've been on their escapade, it leaves them feeling just as unfulfilled. So buying that fast car and chasing after the younger woman, the person that you idealize to make you happy, doesn't come off and give you the experiences that you desire. There is, in the midlife crisis, a re-evaluation of your goals and priorities. There is a re-evaluation of the meaning of life, the meaning of your life, the meaning and the sense of purpose in your life, and finding a place of inner peace. I've had many people say, what is happiness? What does it mean to you? Are you happy? What are you chasing when you're doing certain things? Why are you doing what you're doing? Because surely you should stop studying now. You should be happy in what you've got. You should be settled. So there is, when you have those types of conversations, other people questioning why you might be doing things differently. This midlife time and crisis time is a time of going inward rather than looking outward. When we're much younger, we always look outward about the material things, money, fame, fortune, the work, the accolades, the goals. They're generally outward-facing things. But when you're going through a midlife crisis, it moves you inward, almost, I would like to say, navel-gazing. It makes you question and look about how things have been in your life, the mistakes you made, the missed opportunities. So it moves you to an inward self-reflection of inner dialogue. I'd like now to share another personal story with you. And it was at the time that I was 36 years old. I'd just got married. And my dad passed away 3 months after I got married. I was 36. I'd moved from my hometown, which was Birmingham, to London. I got a new job in London and I was in corporate, and I was really at the top of my game. And then my dad died. Now, I didn't believe, and I know it sounds a bit crazy, I didn't believe he would die. 36 years old, I didn't believe that that was going to be a possibility. And it sounds irrational, but one of the things that that is true for many people that lose a parent is that they've always been there. They've always been with you. So you can't imagine life not with them being there. And when it happened, I was so shocked that it happened that I got into a state of being practical. And in that place of being practical and doing things that needed doing, the paperwork, getting really practical about all the different paraphernalia and reporting and going to the doctors and getting the death certificate. And I just got caught up with the practicalities at 36 years old. And when I went back to my life in London, after everything seemed a bit more settled with my family in Birmingham, I then had to go back to the normal life that I was living, as if nothing had happened. And after 6 months, I started to question things because I became aware I was in a depression. And that questioning was, who am I? What am I doing here? What's the meaning of life? What's my purpose? And in that self-reflection, navel-gazing, that internal dialogue of looking at my life and my lot, I realized I was very unhappy. And looking back now, I can see that I had an early midlife crisis of losing a parent. And this can happen for people in terms of a big event or losing a sibling or a parent, that it can make you question things. And on reflection, I questioned the money, the fame. I questioned the corporate lifestyle. I questioned everything. And I questioned my life to such a point that I went seeking answers in Eastern philosophy and Eastern culture. And that searching for answers of, I have everything, so why am I not happy? At 36 years old, I didn't get it. I just got married. This should be, I remember saying, the happiest time of my life, but I wasn't. And it did have a reflection on the marriage and how I was unhappy in that marriage and how I was unhappy with everything that was going on around me. And in that search, that quest for answers and to find inner peace and happiness, I changed careers. It moved me into training in a different profession. And this is what can happen for people in a midlife crisis, that they question so much about what they thought was true for them and their journey of reaching their life's achievements. And they can then question it to such a point that they change what their mission and purpose in life was. And that's what happened to me. And that was 24 years ago. And I'm very pleased to say that in that journey of change, I've evolved, I've become more clear on what makes me happy, what doesn't make me happy, and I've moved with the times in a much different way. And this can happen for many people. And the reason I've shared this personal story is that I didn't at the time appreciate it was probably a midlife crisis. It was labelled as depression. And when people are going through a midlife crisis, it can look very much like depression. It can look very much like that feeling of desolation and isolation and retreating from the world. So many people that have been diagnosed with depression are probably going through a midlife crisis. Defining and gaining clarity. In sharing my personal story of my own, what I now believe was a midlife crisis, that self-reflection gave me purpose and a mission in life that made me and gave me an inner purpose and an inner core of peace and happiness. In this time of gaining clarity, take care of your body. Take care of your truth. speak to someone that you trust about your feelings, about how you are not coping or not dealing with life as it throws up at you. What you feel and think is important. And sometimes some people don't have someone that they trust to share how they really truly feel and think about life. And in our current times, there is so much social media about the posts that, showing the family, showing what we're having a really great time. And I believe that this necessity to show up on social media that everything is good and everything is rosy in our life almost compounds the fact that we're not feeling good, that we're feeling not purposeful, and we're not feeling great about our lives at all. So talk to someone that you trust. You'll be amazed at how you will feel when you share with someone your inner truth. And you will be surprised when you share what's really happening and going on for you, how many others and how they might be feeling too. When you speak your truth, it allows the other person to share their inner truth. And when you get to that point of acceptance, this is when life changes for you. And this is when the midlife crisis becomes not a midlife crisis anymore, and it becomes transformation, a reformation. It becomes a mission and a life purpose. Many people that were striving for those big goals, those big goals that for many, for fame, for fortune, suddenly they become much more altruistic in their lives and their approaches to what makes them happy. For some people, they lack the support. And so when there is no support, then the midlife crisis can last longer. And for some, can lead into a depression. Now, it's important to be aware that a midlife crisis is not depression. It looks very like it, but it's not depression. And if you can see somebody in these mood swings and not feeling fulfilled and feeling angry and frustrated and irritable and not sleeping and becoming really dissatisfied with their life, their partner and their work, reach out to them. I'm sure they will appreciate you reaching out and having a conversation about how they're feeling. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your interest in our show today. Please subscribe to USA Global TV and Radio. You can find all of my Talking Heads episodes under my name, Caroline Heward. You can find all of the Talking Heads episodes for each year under the different years. Please do reach out to me on LinkedIn, on Facebook. Please do send me a message if I can be of service to you. I offer a short discovery call and an exceptionally really ridiculous priced hour of consultation, which is a special offer that I'm running right now. Please do feel free to reach out, because I've been there, and only when I put this show together and reflected on what I was going to share did I totally appreciate and understand I had a midlife crisis at 36 years old when my dad passed away. And only today, in sharing this, did I become aware. And so it's not cut and dried as what some of the researchers say. I'm happy to be of service to you when and if you are ready. Thank you very much for being part of the show, whether you're on the live or the replay. Namaste.